Sledgelords. Okay, so yesterday I wake up in the morning, 6 a.m., and I slide. You're choking on a hairball? Or?
Well, he's going to tell a story about how I messed up, and Adam actually skull-effed me to punish me.
What happened?
Like how I didn't swear at the beginning of the podcast right there?
Did you swallow a hairball? What happened?
Yeah, I'm feline in nature. I like to lick my legs.
Okay, so this is like, and I'm gassed up because I like waking up at 6 in the morning. It's actually kind of fun to me. And I'm like, listening to the car, I'm listening to a podcast, I'm getting ready. Right. I show up here. And keep in mind, I never do podcasts at 7:30 in the morning. So I even had to tell Josh, I'm like, yo, can you get one of the guys to come early? Bossa Nova comes in. Sydney, for some reason, is also here early.
Well, Sydney's a huge fan.
Sydney wants to help out. She's there. I'm sitting in my office in silence on my phone.
This is like your Jocko Willink morning. You hopped in the cold plunge. You're listening to JRE or Metallica, one of the two, coming to the office.
But all I did was get out at 6, take a shower, eat the same breakfast I always eat, and then I listened to the Shane Gillis podcast on the way here so that I could try to, like, inherit some funniness.
Okay, yeah.
You know? Like I just don't want to be listening to the Daily and they're talking about like 100,000 people getting their arms ripped off or blown off in Afghanistan and shit like that. I want to listen to some fun stuff.
Yeah.
Before I come here.
I think what you just described is funny, but it makes me a sicko.
Right. No, it totally is. I can see the humor in it. But like, you want to get in the right frame of mind. And so then I get here and I'm texting the group chat that we're in with you and Bossa and Josh and stuff. And I'm like, hey, sleepyhead Danny, what's going on? And then, I'm not mad. I'm just kind of like, damn, like, Danny, blowing it. A little irresponsible there. I guess doesn't know how to set his alarm. And then you send the screenshot of us planning it, and you said Tuesday. You did not say Monday. So I wasted my time. I wasted Bossa Nova's time. Apparently, Sydney was happy to waste her own time, but, that's okay.
That screenshot, it was like the O.J. Simpson glove. Because if I didn't have that, I'm not going to say I would have been fired, but I would have been in the no-jumper Sledgelord doghouse.
No,
if I had actually, in truth, I mean, I just gotten down Runyon Canyon at 6 a.m. I was getting my real
You were already working out?
I was probably jerking off.
No, you were sleeping. Come on.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Nobody goes to Runyon at 6 a.m. besides deprived fucks. Pedophiles.
Get up, get after it.
But anyway, if you had been proven to be the one who was in the doghouse, then I would have at least like felt a little bit like, it's kind of unprofessional. Okay, got to keep that in the back of my mind.
That's not me. As this is the whitest podcast on the No Jumper Network, I gotta get here on time. That's expected of me. I mean, come on, I gotta show up, preferably not high, to rep for the brand.
We have to play into the positive stereotypes about our race.
Yeah.
Right on time.
We should also bring in Polaroids of our lawn. I want to see that thing 3/4 inch, freshly watered, no crabgrass.
But so you know what happened then after that? I wasted so much time yesterday. So the plan was that I was going to meet up with you super early, do the podcast, then go back to my house because my girl had a pony coming at 10 a.m. and a couple of other moms coming with their kids. So they could all play with the pony.
For the birthday.
Yes. And so there's a woman who apparently owns some sort of pony who lives in San Dimas. And she comes through. This is her business, is that she's got a pony and you paint it. The kids take paint and they paint watercolor, like safe for animal fur paint, but they lather the animal in paint. And so that was then the middle part of my day. Then the kid takes a nap. I go and I work out, whatever, and then get a bunch of work done. And then I have to go to do a podcast with T-Rel, who is on the channel. You know T-Rel.
I've done a show with him.
Right. And I know that he lives in he said it. He lives in Woodland Hills, right?
Yeah.
So he sends me an address. I type in the address and it suggests North Hollywood.
Yeah.
I think, okay. So I'm like, it's wrong. I manually type in Woodland Hills. I drive to the address. It takes me about an hour. I get there. I realized that this is not a real address.
How'd you realize that?
Because I'm looking at the numbers on the curb and like there's a number a little bit below it and there's a number a little bit above it, but there's no that number, which I actually think is kind of fucked up.
Maybe it was like Harry Potter. It's platform 9 3/4. You're a wizard, Adam.
No, he was right. He just I didn't realize. I thought he was doing the podcast at his house, but he's actually doing it at a separate studio in North Hollywood.
Oh.
So it's like, oh, okay. I fucking thought that I was so smart that I was going to overrule Google, and no.
You can't do it, dude. They control the satellites.
So I just wait. I drove for an hour and a half because of that. And
what time of the day?
4:30, 4 o'clock. Whenever I drove there, I forget. Maybe 3:30. I think I left.
Brutal.
Terrible.
Brutal.
And so, like, just massive swaths of my day. Getting up at 6 for no reason, and then doing that in the middle of rush hour. It's just like, how consumed with foolishness could my day possibly have been?
Well, the good news is, Adam, 4 youths were able to abuse a pony.
Yeah, no, that's true. The little kids were smacking the pony and lathering it with paint. There's all kinds of TikToks.
I can't believe. Don't you ride a pony or pet a pony? When did it become a thing to put probably Chinese lead-based paint on the thing's skin?
Well, I think it was water-based, so it was actually pretty harmless-looking paint. But
you don't know that.
She puts the paint all over the pony. Then they take the pony. They put a big, seat on it. And then the kids are able to ride around on the pony without having even removed the paint from the pony's body.
Was the paint good?
Terrible. No, it's just a bunch of lines and just. At one point, my kid's basically like holding the bottle up to the horse and just dumping the paint onto the horse. But she did ride the horse.
Well, good for her.
Yeah, so that was cool.
That's an accomplishment. It's like getting up on a surfboard.
This is my first ever podcast with clean white teeth. I just got my teeth whitened.
There's a lady with a lab coat out there.
I'm drinking coffee through a straw. I have to make sure it doesn't hit my teeth. Watch.
This is going to last for less than 48 hours, okay? It's going to last for less than 48 hours.
If next time you see me, I have cucka brown teeth, you know why.
There is a lady out there, and she's white. Is this benefits that the No Jumper staff gets? Because I saw her, another staff member right now has got the mouthpiece in. There's the ultraviolet lights. She's wearing the bib. I thought about actually, unzipping and going over there.
Okay.
I'm joking.
Gina is doing it right now. Let's just name the victim. Gina is doing it right now, but Lush is the one who invited her over, and I guess she's done some like serious prison time. She's like involved in some kind of stuff in the past. Let's just leave it at that. But she's apparently with the shits, and now she is the LA Tooth Fairy.
That's her name on Instagram.
Her
and
Instagram
TikTok.
name is the LA Tooth Fairy. People can go. Well, this isn't live, but it's out there.
Is it sort of like Dave's Killer Bread, where she brands herself as the felon tooth cleaner?
I think it is kind of along those lines, where like a lot of her people probably are more down to get somebody to clean their teeth up if they've got a lot in common. Like, oh, you've seen the other side. I don't know. She seems like kind of a boss bitch. It seems like she might have been running the female jail.
You think she raped somebody?
I think she was probably a serial rapist.
Before and in.
Before. That's probably what she went in for.
Serial rape?
Oh, my God. I'm so sorry.
We need to. If there is a woman serial rapist out there, she's got to be sitting in a no-jumper chair soon. Because that's just, that's a funny crime. Yeah. Does anybody have any sympathy for a guy who gets raped by a chick? I don't.
Yeah, well, like young boys.
I don't.
You ever say like a bodybuilder? I'm watching that Killer Sally.
I saw that too.
I didn't watch it. I only seen the first episode.
I saw that.
I'm loving it. I just love the bodybuilding. I just love looking at these giants. It's hilarious to me.
Yeah. The Killer Sally. Should I spoil it for you here?
What, she kills the guy? Yeah, I know.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, they made that pretty clear in like the first 2 minutes of it.
They lift a bunch of weights, then she pulls out a shotgun.
Yeah, and kills him in front of her kids, which I thought was pretty tight.
There's a big twist though in that thing. And it was actually
that's probably what I don't know because I only watched episode 1.
Well, buckle up, buddy. I'm going to spoil it for you and the rest of the audience as well. So Netflix, they did a pretty good job of this. They made it seem like she had this guy dead to rights, like he was a piece of crap, a human shit stain that deserved to die. Netflix did that. They only shared the stories of him beating her and the children's testimony of her being crazy.
This isn't a plot twist within the show. This is a plot twist after the fact that you feel like it might have been misrepresented?
No, it's in the show.
Oh, it's in the show. Okay.
After the killing, they start exposing how insane this lady is and how much she beat up other people in her life. She would corner random bitches at the gym like, I heard you said you could curl more than me, Belinda. Smack.
No, I could see it because she was a woman on steroids. And I'm going to be real with you. I don't trust a woman on steroids. I like my women nice and feminine, or at least whatever energy God gave them, because steroids are scary when you're a guy taking it. And I feel like when women take it, it is like the vast majority of the time they become insane. It's not meant for them at all.
And I'm trying to think. When I was in college, there were a lot of athlete chicks walking around, Adam, and they were doing deadlifties and they were doing the squat. And I think a lot of these chicks did get screwy in the brain.
Well, I think lifting weights is just fine for women. I think that taking
to this
male
extent,
testosterone in your ass is probably very, very bad.
Some of these girls might have been going to GNC and might have been browsing the men's aisle.
I'm going to be real with you. You can buy as much pre-workout as you want from GNC, and it's really not even going to hit like 0.01% of the effect of steroids.
What about creatine? What about Tren? Now we're in that gray area.
You can't buy Tren at GNC.
You want to be our lab rat? I'll get you on Trent. You can.
No, but if
you're
we
right, you
inject
can't
her
buy it.
full of testosterone, then she will kill her boyfriend. That is one thing I'm sure of, yes. And I don't want to see that. I don't want blood on my hands.
Yeah, we don't want that. All right. We've got two. I don't know where I'm going with this. Continue.
2 big ideas.
What?
Injecting Sydney with testosterone and injecting Bossa Nova with estrogen and watching him turn into Ice Spice.
They're both in the room right now. Listen.
I think puberty blockers would be great.
Listen, gender is just a social construct, you two.
What if we turn this into like a radio style podcast and like fucking Sydney is just like Robin Quivers and she just has a mic?
It would help if you were black. That's just, it's the format. But that's why once Bossa Nova transitions, he will be a woman of color, and we will have our perfect Robin Quivers.
Oh yeah, that's exactly why we need to inject him with estrogen.
Oh yeah.
Every day.
I think we have 2 women of color who work here now, or is there more than that?
We have quite a few, yeah.
Including the LA Tooth Fairy. I think we're doing well.
She's not a full-time employee, but yes, she definitely adds to it. Yeah.
She does. It helps. It helps.
Yeah, she brought her 3-year-old with her.
I would like it, dude. If we opened up this podcast and we had, get a little cam on Josh over there, on these 2 degenerates, Sid and Bossa Nova, it's something to think about.
But I think when you do a comedy podcast and you have like some co-hosts and they can just be like the people laughing at you, so we don't have to laugh at each other and we can just try to make them laugh. Doesn't that kind of make sense to you?
It does.
Well, speaking of laughs, me and Danny left the house this weekend on Saturday.
Transition.
This is before, I know it was good, right? And this transition is brought to you by... No, okay. We don't have that yet. But so Saturday night after the fucking kid's 2nd birthday party, everybody leaves, and me and my girl says quite verbally, she says, God, I wish I didn't commit to doing anything. I'm so tired. I just want to go to bed. And I said, yep, but you're going to the comedy club with me and Danny and Danny's girlfriend because we said earlier in the week that we were going to do it, and we knew that we would be tired as fuck by 7:30 on a Saturday night because we were doing stuff all day, and we've been up since 6 in the morning, but we're fucking going. So we hop in the Ubs. We head down there. We go to the Hollywood Improv.
Yeah.
Walk in, and Danny's already got a table full of like little mini tacos. Him and his girl got a couple of mixed drinks, and we settled in for a nice night of watching people make jokes on stage in Hollywood. And it was crazy. We went out and we did something in real life and didn't make content out of it. Look at us.
I know, man. It was impressive.
Almost like we're actual friends.
I'm getting there.
It's really
get the Sledgelords.
Don't want to jump in there and just make any wild claims, but we were doing friend type stuff.
And I talked a lot of shit behind your back after we all left. So I'm just going to come out there with that. We're not quite friends yet based on my backstabbing.
Well, we're friends, but we're bad friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Like really shitty friends.
If only we could trademark that podcast name. Oh, wait. Fuck Bobby Lee.
Bad friends.
That show, though, I did us a favor.
Bobby Lee is hacked on Twitter right now.
Is he?
And because a lot of people are hacked on Twitter, like Action Bronson is hacked, and I seen Bobby Lee's the newest one where basically you get your Twitter hacked and they turn it into a laptop selling business where they're just trying to sell all your followers like $600 laptops.
Why don't they go for the top shelf? Why are they selling Dells and PCs?
Well, they're probably they're telling you that they're going to sell you a $3,000 laptop and they're trying to charge you $600. It's such a good deal that so many people are just going to fall for it, right? And the hackers are just getting $600 over and over. But then meanwhile, Elon has gutted the entire company, so there's nobody to even fix these fucking accounts in the first place, I'm pretty sure.
Well, it's looking like you were right, okay? Mr. Elon's fucking up Twitter last week.
About what, the red wave? We can get into that later. But okay, let's talk about the comedy club though, because this is me and Lennon never go out in public, and one of our things about going out is that it's like clubs just seem so lame to us at this point in our life that it's like the comedy club thing was like an important experiment because it's so much more low key. It's so much more like just actually have a nice human experience. Yes. You don't have to be in this weird environment with glitzy Armani suits and whatnot.
The pressure isn't on you. You're doing a social thing where you can interact like, that was a good one. I liked that joke. Oh, fuck, I can't believe she said that. But most of the conversation is being handled by the people on stage. Disappointingly, though, and this was what I was real upset about, was the Hollywood Improv. Oh, yeah, I'm calling you guys out. They promised a lineup and then without any sort of explanation changed that lineup. And we didn't find out until the promised comedians didn't show up on stage.
Right. And that worked out in a multitude of interesting ways because my MMA fighter, professional skateboarder buddy, Jason Ellis, who's also bisexual. I meant to include that in the initial description of him.
I didn't get that from his set. This was a set.
But
Hey, you cunts. You ever felt like getting a dick up your ass? I've gotten 3 on my ass. This one time it didn't quite fit. That was his material.
No, for sure. But it was like I walk up and I just see his name on the fucking bill, and that's such a weird feeling to me because I've seen so few people do IRL stand-up comedy, and I had just interviewed him like however many months ago, 6 months ago or something, and then to realize I was going to get to see him do it. And okay, this is the extra level of why that was kind of interesting, right? It's because I fuck with Jason.
I like him too.
I am an asshole. I am apparently not the best communicator in the world because we were having a conversation that, from my recollection, was basically like he's saying that he, wanted a new challenge and he got into comedy. And I'm kind of saying like, well, why that challenge? Like, why comedy? Like, what is it about comedy? Whatever. And like at some point in this conversation, he takes it a little bit like I'm kind of like telling him like, well, why the fuck are you doing comedy? Like, but my thing, if you watch it back, I'm pretty sure that my thing was that he just wasn't really telling me the reason why he got into comedy aside from like trying something new.
Yeah, so I get what you're saying. It'd be like me, like, Adam, I really want to do porn. And you go like, oh, you want to do porn?
Or if you said you were moving to Hawaii and becoming a surfer, and I was like, why? And you were like, well, I just want to try something new. And I'd be like, well, there's a million ways to try something new. So anyway.
That's how it actually was.
I felt like I felt like what I was saying was reasonable, but a large percentage of the fans were commenting, basically acting like I was being a huge asshole to him, which was not my intention at all because I like him, and it's not like I have any reason to not want you to do comedy. I was just trying to figure out like, you've done the MMA, you've done the skateboarding, you've done all this shit. You're a podcaster, radio host, whatever. What is it about comedy? Like, because to me, it's kind of hard to wrap my head around because I like comedy, but I've never really thought about like what hole would this fill in my life. Like, what would this make? What would this just feel so good about doing this? I wanted to dedicate this much time to it. So it was kind of interesting that as a surprise, boom, all of a sudden I'm seeing his set, which was that my main question about him is I wonder how many, how many different routines he has, because that routine that we saw was sort of like, if you watch my whole interview with him, it would just be him like fleshing out pretty much like what he said, like that his bit was basically like his life story.
So this was basic. So I already did an impression of the routine. A reenactment of the podcast would be like, Adam, did they ever tell you about the first time I got a cock up my ass? Really? No, tell me about it. Yeah, needed a bunch of lube. The thing was huge. I
needed Tony Hawk to pull it out.
I needed Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk. He needed to.
See, now we look like we're hating on him again.
He needed to do the loop to get enough momentum to yank the cork out of my ass. All right, no,
you have to have him on here.
I would love to.
It would be so good, right?
I liked him, and he was up there. He was so because the lineup. It was such a foul what they did. We went, and one of the comedians I was excited about was Dom Irrera, who we saw.
Who I did not know who it was going to be. And then he said something on stage about his prior appearance on Seinfeld.
Yes.
And it kind of clicks in my head like, holy shit, this guy looks like a melting 80-year-old version of a guy I saw on Seinfeld a long time ago. No offense to him, he's great. But I go back and I look at a picture of him on Seinfeld when he was like, I don't know, like 35 years younger. And it's just like, holy fuck, I feel like I am a part of history right now watching this guy do stand-up because his health is not necessarily great. His eyes barely open. And, it's like there was a really great vibe in the audience where it's like, hell yeah. Like, this motherfucker's old as shit and he's still doing it. Like, everybody in the audience seemed very enthused by the energy that he brought, even though his timing may have been affected by his old age a little bit, stuff like that. But it was amazing.
He had a couple really good jokes. One was, you never run out of jizz. It's still coming out. It comes out a little bit. And then remember his first opening joke?
Yes.
Can we repeat that here?
Yeah, go for it.
Dude, this guy, it got a huge fucking... It was a really funny joke.
People died when he said this.
Also, it was so shocking. And everybody in the club basically seemed on board with it, but he came out and he's like... I needed help up the stairs. I feel like a retard up here. You can't say retard anymore. My faggot friend told me.
Yeah, and everyone just dies.
Everybody
the whole place
died.
shuts down. So, hey, if you believe that, political correctness is taking over everything, there's a little spot on Melrose Avenue that you can come on down and get nice and homophobic, and it'll be all good.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say that probably like 3 of the fucking employees of security guards told me that they are big fans of the podcast, so that was very nice to hear.
This one here?
They didn't mention Sledgelords by name, but I mean, they work at a comedy club.
I'm gonna burn that place down, dude.
But it was so interesting just being like a normal fucking place. I'm talking to some random comic from Chicago. He's like, yeah, I just moved here to, me and my girl got a house down the street. I'm like, I just never like meet normal people just like living their lives. Everybody's like pitching me on their fucking career or whatever. So it's like we're just hanging out at a bar. You have to understand how unique that moment was for me.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't just like hung out in a bar in a long time. So, and I saw it with Lena too. She's laughing her ass off at the show. She's having a good time hanging out after. She didn't get drunk enough to annoy me. So overall, that was cool.
It was great, man. One thing about just hanging out in a bar, normal people who aren't trying to pitch you on something, I did as a little experiment after you and Lena sped off in your Uber Black.
You try to get that guy to buy you another drink?
I did, yeah.
You pointing out the Uber.
Adam's gone
him
now.
pointing out the Uber Black was pretty funny because afterwards, Lena's like, "Do you think Danny thinks that we're like super rich?" Because you pointed out the Uber Black, and you were like, "Oh shit, look at that thing. That's an SUV."
I'm expecting an off-brown Prius to pull up. And instead, there's a 2020 Cadillac Escalade, all blacked out windows, big rims. I'm not sure how many inches.
You realize it costs like $20 more on the fucking Uber app, right?
Yeah, and on a special occasion like that, it's all right to flare it out a little bit.
What I will say, though, is I didn't, like, when you go in there, like, okay, let's take a gander at the Uber app right now just so we can get some price comparisons. Okay, Uber app. Let's say we want to go to the Hollywood Improv. Let's just say.
Nice pop socket right there, too. Did you make that out of your daughter's pacifier?
Listen, I found it, and I put it on my phone, and then I realized kind of afterwards, like, damn, it's a flower. But I like having a pop socket. I feel like it helps with my wrists.
Getting to that age?
Hollywood Improv.
All right, we're going to find out what this is. How far, how much between the two Ubers?
Here's the difference. If I were to take an Uber X, it will cost $25. If I were to take an Uber Black, it would cost $65. So it's an extra $40. Now, if I were to take an Uber Black SUV, it would cost $82. So you're tacking on an additional $17. If you go from Uber X to Black, then you get it's an extra $40.
So you spent, I'm confused, there were a lot of numbers
but I
thrown out
ordered
there.
Black, but they sent the SUV as they do.
Sure.
Because then you get a little discount. If you order Black and they send the SUV, then you don't have to pay the SUV rate, even though, like I said, it's $17 more.
Listen, just because you spent an extra $100 on your transportation home from the club, it doesn't make me feel like shit, dude. I can take it.
The club
I'll
is not
strive
even that
to
far
move
from
forward.
my house, too. So I just want to say that, and also, you're right, though. It's like somehow, in my mind, there is some sort of level of disrespect of me pulling up in a Honda Accord to the comedy club. Like, that's what I'm paying the $40 extra for. Is just so that I can get dropped off by a nice, smooth, jet black vehicle and not the Corolla.
All right. Your carriage has arrived, good sir.
I don't spend money on anything else. You're going to fucking drag me through the hot coals right here because I just want to have the Black. Once you go Black,
you never go back, huh?
hard to
Adam?
go back to that X. I don't know, man.
Well, now that the audience knows a little bit about your true character, after you left, I went up, dude, I saw all the comedians that we saw, basically. The last guy who was a slightly chubby white dude with a precision-looking haircut. I saw him and a bunch of his other comedy buddies circled up around the table, and I was like, I gotta hear what these people are talking about. That's such a legendary thing in the comedy club circuit. You hear about the Comedy Cellar in New York. The Hang. The Hang is a big deal.
Your job is to be funny. What do you talk about when there's no cameras around?
Exactly. And I guess that's when the funniest shit happens. That's when, like, they're just ripping each other apart based on their shoes, their Uber choice, their pop sockets.
And I've been to the fucking Comedy Store and seen this playing out backstage with a lot of, like, really lit comics, like backstage at Kill Tony.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like a lot of fucking really elite
Let's
comedians.
go to that. Let's go to Kill Tony.
I got you. Let's go.
We'll fucking do it.
They'd be happy to have us, yeah.
But I want to go here and see if, like, hey, are these guys funny when there's no microphone live, when there's no audience? And I hear them talking like they're I don't know. Your underlings here talking about, man, fuck working for no. We're going to start our own podcast. We're going to break out of this. They're gathered up. They're like, yeah, we need to do. And this, I swear to God.
Fuck the improv. I'm going to do comedy in my basement.
We're going to work our way up to the Laugh Factory, bitch. But no, they're talking about, they're like, we need to do a podcast and it's got to be diverse. One day we have on an Asian guy. Then we make sure we get women on. And I was just like, are you guys fucking kidding me? They're like, yeah, we got to make sure our metrics are good. We got to cover Facebook and we got to do YouTube shorts. And I was like, holy fuck.
They're just listing off a bunch of nouns that they've heard.
Snapchat.
Yeah.
iPhone.
Facebook.
Ethernet.
We're going to do them all.
But a lot of times, and I don't know if you've related to this, it doesn't sound like you're as into it as me, but oftentimes I'll think that in my head, stand-up comedy is the purest form of comedy, and maybe someday I'm going to do stand-up, and I sort of want to, like a lot of actors, want to be rock stars.
But then you kind of realize a lot of these hardcore stand-up guys actually kind of want to be influencer, content creator, whatever.
Exactly. Because what do you do, dude? Like, if you only do stand-up, what's the next step?
Yeah.
Where do you go to make money? Because they probably got paid those kids $20 for setting foot on that stage.
You think that those motherfuckers are getting $20?
Yeah, you're right. Probably 15.
Dom Herrera is up there with fucking 17-inch ear hairs coming out of his canal, and you're telling me you got $20?
They hardly make. I heard Chris D'Elia, when he does a spot like that, makes like 100, 150.
Wow.
They make nothing, which is bullshit because the tickets were $25 each, plus a horseshit service fee of like fucking 25 extra bucks.
Yeah.
It's a 2-drink minimum, 2-item minimum. Everybody in that place was ordering highly overpriced cocktails and tacos.
Do you think Chris D'Elia had to fight for that 150? You think that he was getting like 135 for a while, and he had to have a sit down with the boss and was like, look, I think I've worked my way up to 150.
He was probably getting 200, and then he sent a cockpick to the manager's daughter. They knocked him off a little bit. She was 17, Chris. You're only getting 150.
This should help us get him on the show.
I love Chris D'Elia.
No, that was a good joke. Yeah,
I like Chris D'Elia.
No, but yeah, it was dope being in that environment though, for sure. And I for sure saw that a little bit too, because okay, when you're looking at the lineup, it's like, so they start us off with a couple of women, like start off with some generally unfunny people, and then move on.
I like the chicks.
Which
one?
I'm
a sexist bastard. I liked both the chicks.
But you know what happened? So there's a chick who's doing like the introduction, right? She's like the ringleader of the whole thing.
The brunette or the blonde?
The brunette, I think. Yeah. And so then she brings out the 4'11" blonde chick, right?
Yeah.
And it was like an unfortunate thing that, from my mind as a person who never goes to comedy shows, is kind of like, it hurt my enjoyment of it a little bit, where the first woman, as she's introducing her, she's doing a bunch of jokes about orgasming in her fucking vagina and whatever, right? Then she brings out the next comedian, and boom, we're right back into more orgasm jokes. And I'm just kind of sitting there like, that's really all y'all got, huh? Like, you got to step it up. And I don't know, but like, it's not really her fault. And it's like, obviously she went on to other topics, but I definitely was like hit with a moment of like, holy shit, did we just walk into an all-female comedy show and we're gonna have to listen to them talk about orgasm for like 2 hours?
Listen, boys, the G-spot's right here, okay?
You can't find it.
But first of all, I don't know if we could have a tally going on how many dick jokes we've made this podcast. I'm going to feel like a little bit of a hypocrite. But you're right, though. And it was some of the dudes there, too. I think that's a staple. And I want to say right now, I am a terrible stand-up comedian. I am not claiming supremacy. I'm just making an objective observation. It seems like the lower-level stand-up comedians, their material is sex and dating material. And that's what separates a guy like Dave Chappelle, who just went out and did a very controversial SNL monologue.
Right.
And his material was on how Trump, through a comment about tax codes, exposed the hypocrisy of elites. His material was on who actually runs Hollywood and Kyrie Irving and shaming black people and shit. I don't agree with everything he said. It was pretty fucking gnarly.
I'm just
but
really
it was philosophical.
I'm here to hear like some interesting observations about life. And like, for sure, probably the worst thing that I could take from a comic is like, oh, you're boring. Like your observations about sex or dating are bad. Whereas I would feel like if I was a comic, which I have no aspirations to be, for the record, I just don't want anyone to think that that's what this is about. But if I were a comic, like, and I was going to be sitting there trying to think up some material about dating or sex, I would be crawling deep within my brain, even as a non-comic, because I know that this is such well-worn territory that if I'm going to bring anything to the table, it's just going to have to really stretch the limits of what we're talking about. And I kind of feel the same way here. Like, if me and you end up in a conversation that's basically like, well, guys are different than girls, and girls girls are little and men are big and men are mean and girls are nice. Like, no, we gotta go beyond that. We have to find new, interesting things. That's what will make you laugh. You listen to a comedian say something that you never thought of, or like.
I think that's what Jason Ellis is doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you suck a dick. Right, Johnny, you sucked a dick out there, boys. That was a new take on it.
Yeah. But I just wonder, like, how many other bits he has, or if does he feel like he kind of has to stick with his like introductory bit, because or it's not a bit, right? Routine. I don't know. Like does he feel like he has to kind of get that out of the way? Because that, I don't know. I feel like that would be so crazy, like as a comedian, to keep doing the same bit over and over.
It would be hard for me. And I know that you have to do that. That's what everybody does. But I think you and we would both, out of the corner of our eye, we would see the same doorman who was there the last 6 times we did this routine. We would see, this one comic who's heard this bit 15 times. I would have them in my peripheral vision, and it would make me not want to commit to the same tired act about how, you guys ever try to have sex when you're drunk? Hard to get it up, huh? Oh, boy. It would make me want to change up my material a lot and freestyle, which I don't think would always be healthy.
But I feel like if I was in a band, that I would feel the same way. If I was in the Beatles and I just look over and I just see like some fucking security guard and I know that he's heard "Let It Be" before, I'll be like, no, I can't perform this. I'm just gonna freestyle some shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like a bizarre standard to hold comedians to, though, right? It wasn't like that for like the vast majority of recorded history, where there was any expectation of a comedian like switching their material up. Actually, in the early days of comedy, it was like you went out there and you just told jokes, and there was no expectation that you wrote the jokes. They could have been somebody else's jokes.
Yeah, absolutely. It was vaudeville was the first American form of comedy,
right,
which was just ridiculous circus acts all coming out on stage. Then there was one guy who emceed. He introduced the next circus act, like, coming to the stage now, we have a man and his elephant. He is going to extract the feces from its ass with a broom.
Right.
Literally shit like that. And then jugglers. And then he would crack a couple funnies in between those sets. His name was Frank Fay.
Right.
He did that and got so good at the in-between stuff, he developed a new style of comedy called stand-up.
Wow, what a history lesson.
In World War II,
Jason Ellis took it to the next level.
Yes.
By making it about being gay.
Yeah, he did. He's an innovator. But during World War II, you're so right. There was a genre called army comedy.
Right.
Where they would just go up and tell the same jokes about being in the military. Like, boy, these sea rations really taste like dog poop.
And if you don't live in a connected world, like what is the driving force that's even making you want to have your own original material? You know, if the year is 1950 and I'm in a comedy club and I hear you tell a hilarious joke, I mean, there is no reasonable reaction besides like, I'm going to write that down and tell that joke next time. Because that's how a normal person is. Normal people are just the way it is with memes. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, I can just post a meme. I don't have to fucking write the meme. I just like share the meme. It's just
content.
A joke. Yeah.
You get engagement. You gain favor in the algorithm.
But then as the meme environment develops, you do start to see like rules emerge about how memes should be treated and handled. And then you see something like Fuck Jerry that was like extremely popular, become extremely controversial. Obviously it's still popular, but like there's like a different standard. And we saw it with Elon Musk where he was posting a lot of memes for a while, and then everybody wanted to hold him to the standard of like, well, you should be crediting people for their memes, you know? Mm-hmm. Seems like he kind of gave up on memes.
I haven't been paying. I deleted Twitter. So maybe your talk got through to me subconsciously.
Why would you delete it?
I just took it off my phone, and now I can't sign back in. I regretted it immediately, but I don't care enough to go look up my password.
Yeah, there's some apps on my phone like that. Like I used to look at that every day, and then I just got logged out one day, and I haven't bothered to log in for like 6 months.
It's probably a good thing. You've saved yourself collectively like 14 and a half hours off those apps.
I will be real with you, though. Like Twitter is pretty much the most entertaining it's been since its inception now, because every day you get to see some crazy... Like Elon has fired like 20 fucking employees for basically talking shit about him either on Twitter or in these internal Slack discussions, right? So he's firing people left and fucking right. So that's insane, seeing people just get fired left and right. And then, I mean, there's a lot of little things that are breaking where like someone will at somebody in like a response. I seen this the other day for the first time, and the at that they were responding to, you couldn't click it. It was just at Danny Mullen, and I'm responding to you, and you're looking at my response, but I cannot click your name. And it's fucking bizarre to see all these little tiny things that I've never noticed shit really like this on Twitter since, besides maybe the early days. In the early days, it would crash all the time. There was the fail whale. There was all this shit. And now, like, you just got used to Twitter, like, kind of always working right. And now it's breaking in a lot of, like, really small fundamental ways.
I heard him say that the reason he wanted to buy Twitter partially was to learn from its algorithms in order to make his future everything app, X, more effective. And he wants to speed up that learning curve for how to make an app. Maybe he's using Twitter like somebody would go to Pick and Pull to just get car parts. And they would buy a car, a junker, and then just take the catalytic converter and the muffler off it and put it on their car.
The only thing is that those cars don't cost $45 billion, and you don't have to get like a whole massive squad of investors to help you buy this shitty car.
It's a good point you make. 44 bill, dude. 44. What a pimp, dude.
Yeah, no.
What a fucking pimp.
But listen, there are, and I mean, I'm aware that this could just be, you know, sort of cataclysmic thinking and that this is quite likely to not happen, but there are like real people who really study social networks who think that Twitter might like actually go down within the next week. Now, I'm skeptical as well.
I say we stay on this. It's a developing story.
It's definitely a developing story that everybody in the fucking world is kind of like sick of, I feel like, because it's just like you're talking about the thing that everybody looks at all day, but it's not even really that popular. That's the crazy thing about it. Did you see the tweet? And we're going to get off this, but did you see the thing where Elon Musk responded to somebody and basically said that Twitter was the biggest sharer or the biggest creator of traffic online?
I didn't see that.
He said that. And it got quote tweeted with a correction that said, and yes, I'm spacing on my words so that this will take slightly longer before I actually get to the thing that
that's
I have
YouTube
to
and Google,
read. Right? Where the fuck? Here it is. So he wrote, Twitter drives a massive number of clicks to other websites / apps, the biggest click driver on the internet by far. And so, you know, now they have these corrections that can be applied to your tweets where, like, if enough
fact
people,
checks.
It's like a fact check, but you know how you originally saw the fact checks just for stuff like COVID? Somebody would say the vaccines don't do anything, and they would, climate change, they would put a marker, a thing saying whatever. This apparently, they want this to be much more widespread, and apparently Elon Musk isn't safe because he had this bubble added to his tweet that said, the reverse is true. Twitter drives 7% of web traffic referrals. Facebook drives 74%. Pinterest drives 7%. In other words, just basically saying that this is a completely absurd idea. And anybody who's ever promoted their content on Twitter can pretty much tell you, like, you know, if you put out a new video, how essential do you feel like it is to put up a link on YouTube to it? Not very, right?
A link on Twitter, too.
A link on Twitter, to it.
I don't. There's no point.
You could. It would create a little bit more awareness. But it's by far, it's not an essential place to post it.
No.
Yeah.
Honestly, nobody's going to care about this, but I honestly feel like if the video doesn't take off on YouTube on its own, no sharing on any platform is going to do anything. A swipe up on Instagram really doesn't move the needle that much.
Yeah.
But we're just talking shop. You wanted to talk about the failed red wave.
Oh, yeah.
You brought that up.
That's what they're saying, man. I'm not the one who did the polling. I'm not the one who took all the Republican ballots and threw them in the swamp. It's just the word on the streets. They're saying
you got a theory there, Adam?
It's not a theory. I was there. I did it. But I'm just saying, like, I mean, you were very excited about how this was going to go.
Was I?
It seemed like you were pretty confident that the red wave was going to take place.
I guess I did. I was pretty confident.
Yeah.
It seemed like a lot of people were. And I realized after it didn't happen that I didn't care that much. I was like a bandwagon fan who got sort of excited, like in 2018, like, oh, the Philadelphia Eagles are taking on the Patriots with a backup quarterback.
We all have that moment where it's like,
guys.
oh, the Red Sox are how deep into the series?
Whoa.
Oh, maybe I should pretend that this is my favorite baseball team.
Baby, check out this guy. He's from the Dominican Republic. He pitches 102 miles per hour. He's unbelievable. What's his name? Pena or Jorge or something. That's how I was about it. And I realized afterwards, like, I don't really care, blue or red, as long as the craziness on both sides is kept in check.
I think that's fair, yeah.
As long as you don't, like, as long as there aren't Bossa Nova, Sydney-esque gender swaps mandatory for kindergartners, As long as we don't, like, I don't know, give a third grader an AK-47 and teach him how to shoot on a recess,
Yeah.
I'm okay. You
No,
know,
but
it's
I
good
mean,
to-
okay, there are things that I don't like about the Republicans, and I feel like those things were mostly repudiated. Like, I feel like a big reason why I could never vote for a Republican would be that I am extremely pro-choice. Another reason I don't think I could vote Republican in its current state is I'm extremely anti-Trump. I also am extremely anti election denialism. Like all that shit is extremely scary to me. The idea that our elections might be seriously like impacted by people who just don't give a fuck about the results. And from my perspective, do I really care if there's like a Republican in office or a Democrat in office if they're gonna run like a reasonable person? No, I don't give a fuck. If but if there's gonna be all this other shit attached to what it is to be living in a Republican state, then I'm very concerned. And it feels like more than anything else, I think the Republican Party realized through this election, oh, we can't just assume that Trump is going to save us. And if anything, he's probably a massive fucking liability. And we can't just stick all these lunatics in these positions and try to get them through. Like, I feel like a lot of the people who pushed for this like hardcore election denialism are the people who took the biggest L's. And what's kind of funny is that now that everything's said and done and you didn't see a lot of this at first, you're seeing a lot of Steven Crowder and Tommy Loren and all these people are really going hard on like, well, doesn't it not make any sense to anybody that the ballots are still being counted, whatever. So like they're pivoting hard into the election denialism stuff, even though I feel like the real actual Republican candidates are kind of realizing like we probably don't want to go all in on that.
I will say, I totally agree with you. I think your analysis of everything's totally right. The people who supported Trump hardcore paid the price. I think abortion rights were a big thing. I'm pro-choice too. That's the one lefty thing I voted for when I made my trip to the polling place. One thing I don't really get though is the label of like election deniers and election rejectors only being applied to the right. Because what happened when Trump first got elected? Russian collusion. It's only because of Russian collusion. Investigate him. Also,
well, there was a lot of Russian disinformation going on with
the sale of #resist t-shirts went through the fucking roof of people basically saying the same shit. Not my president. Isn't that election denial? It happens on both sides.
Fair enough, and I'm just going to steal something that I literally heard Destiny say on stream the other day. But he said, how many times did Hillary Clinton basically say that the election was stolen from her? Maybe like twice. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump has said hundreds of times that the election was stolen from him and has still not conceded defeat all these years later. Whereas on the other hand, Hillary Clinton conceded defeat the night of
Your
the
teeth
election.
look great, by the way, buddy.
Thank you. I'm just saying.
I've been staring at those.
It's a false equivalency to say that the era of election denialism that Donald Trump has ushered in, that has spread like a virus throughout the Republican Party. It's a false equivalency to say that Stacey Abrams complaining about gerrymandering is the same thing.
Sure.
Now, she might say some things that are like relatively inaccurate in that conversation. I'm sure that she's going to say stuff that maybe is a little bit, just meant to draw sympathy for her. But I don't think it's fair to say that, there's any kind of equivalency there.
Maybe the reason that I am biased toward the right a little bit and I'm latching on to like, oh, the left are election deniers too. I feel like I'm slightly allergic to how every major institution, whether it's American Express or Amazon or The Tonight Show, there's only one acceptable way to vote. There's one mainstream way to vote. It's Democrat. And if you don't vote that way, fuck you.
And if you're Katy Perry and you vote for the more evil of the two Democratic candidates for LA's mayor,
the more white, the more conservative.
She got torched for that.
Ridiculous.
But then also at the same time, she still voted for a Democrat. It's not like she voted for the Republican candidate, even though you could look at him and be like, well, he was a Republican until like 6 months ago or some shit. But I mean, even seeing Katy Perry do that, though, and I am kind of convinced that she's a bit of a lunatic for other reasons, it really kind of makes me think like, oh, okay. So it is becoming a lot more normal to like voice your more moderate political concerns. And maybe over time that'll spread to like actual, Republican political concerns. Because it's basically like illegal if you're a celebrity to say anything like that.
I know. I think we're going to look back on this era, Adam, and we're going to see the turning point as when Dom Irrera went up there and said, my faggot friend told me so.
Yeah. And the left came for him.
Damn it. That'd be the wrong kind of turning point.
Could we have Dom on this podcast?
Probably. He might need a driver to come pick him up. Maybe in one of your Uber Black X's.
We might have to do it at 6 a.m. so that it's before his bedtime. That was actually the interesting part about that to me, is that he was kicking it, it's like 9:30 p.m. This motherfucker's out past his bedtime. But anyway.
He was getting some chicks, too. Chicks were hodling up next to him at the bar.
At the bar. That must be
Love
a
it.
cool thing about being an aging celebrity is that these like hot 25-year-olds just kind of want to talk to you. Just why not?
It's the fucking best. Why do you think he hasn't gotten married and moved to South Florida?
Yeah.
The fucking pussy's still in Hollywood.
I mean, that is why it's cool because you look at him and you're like, damn, you must really love this shit if you're still holding it down after all these years. And you must have a lot of support. People must really fuck with you if they're still letting you do this at this point still.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually did, like, I fucking went to his Instagram and I found, like, a podcast clip of him. He was on a podcast, so he's actually out here.
You want to get him on? We're still waiting. We've been talking a lot about who the first comedian guest is going to be. Is it going to be Shane Gillis?
So that would be great, but we have to wait till he comes out here. But that was kind of the thing about that I was thinking about, too, is that, okay, so you didn't stay for the second show.
I did not.
Okay.
I stayed to eavesdrop on the comedian table, then I went home and I had sex with my girlfriend.
Anal Princess Jr. Okay, but so from my perspective, the second show is probably the show where you're actually going to get to hang out with the comedians afterwards, right? Or do you think that they like shuffle them out the back into a SUV waiting for them?
I see your logic. They have nothing else to do that night. Why not take a couple shots at Jack with the adoring semi-fans?
That's been my experience. One time I was in New York back in the day with the Guys We Fucked girls who do that podcast out there. I don't know if you're familiar, but and then Andrew Schultz, like before he was as big as he is now, and we were just like kicking it in like it was like the bar area of the comedy club. But I feel like there was like a separate bar area for the comedians. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. But either way, it was like, I just realized like, holy fuck, if I hang out in these environments, I'm just going to meet so many people. And not even just that, but like have a lot of really good conversations because like hang out with comedians, it's a different problem than I normally have because normally my problem when I hang out with normal people is that I find their conversation so boring that I just tune out and start looking at TikTok or thinking about something or looking at...
You got a new idea for a TikTok.
Yeah.
I'm going to tie my shoes with my nails painted. That's going to be your fucking next video. Don't write that down.
But then like when I'm around comedians, I oftentimes feel like, holy shit, I don't even feel like there's an opening for me to jump into this conversation because a lot of times they're so good at drawing connections between things.
It's really nerve-wracking, too, because when you go for a joke on a comedian, you feel like they're like, oh, what's this guy trying to do? Is this guy trying to be one of us? Here's an example. We had on our podcast last night, Ben Avery, who used to be Tim Dillon's co-host on the Tim Dillon Show.
Okay.
And I'm a huge fan of that podcast. And I've watched Tim Dillon make that guy laugh so many fucking times that I was like afraid to make a joke because I knew I wouldn't be able to make him laugh as hard as I've seen Tim Dillon laugh, or I've seen Tim Dillon make him laugh. So sometimes I'm like shut down when I'm around really funny, famously funny people.
Yeah, no, it's pretty reasonable, I think, because if it's like at least you have the self-awareness. Because a lot of people are going to be like around Dave Chappelle, just like telling him every joke, every funny thing. Like,
hey, Dave, knock knock.
Well, the other day my wife came home and I was working in the shoe store all day. I don't know. It's just like people are going to like be hitting him. He probably gets to hear like the worst jokes.
Dude, it's so bad. It's like we kind of already felt it. This is all you. But in the comedy club, after a lot of people recognized Adam and are buying him drinks and are pitching him stuff and have their story to tell, for those guys who are at the very top, it's probably so fucking ridiculous. But the guys are actually successful. It's like a bald, fat real estate developer from Miami. Like, hey, listen, have you ever thought about getting into condominiums, Dave?
Right.
I got this spot down in Palm Beach. They just so much fucking
He would
shit.
probably be down to have that. Oh, actually, I don't know. Dave's so rich that like, what the fuck's he gonna think?
Now, Joe Rogan said that was a problem for a while. Everybody was pitching him on investments and business ideas. He's like, I got $100 million. Get away from me.
You remember when Kanye had to put out a statement and said that he wasn't interested in hearing any more NFT pitches?
I love it. That's like you.
I mean, that's just hilarious to think that there was a time in which Kanye had people beating down his door just to tell him about their NFTs.
I remember reading one of your tweets before we did this podcast. I was driving to Vegas for my buddy's bachelorette party.
Reading 3 months back into my Twitter feed.
My buddy's bachelor party. I just want to make sure. I mean, he's not a bossa nova type.
You searched Adam22 NFT on Twitter?
No, it came up. You had just tweeted it. And it was... So the whole economy was already crashing, but all these NFTs that used to be like 70 grand were now trading at $15.
Yeah.
And you tweeted, looking back at some of the projects my friends tried to pitch me to invest into, and I'm retroactively offended by it.
No, and I was offended at the time too. Like I had fucking people that I I genuinely look at them like people that I respect. They're pillars in the community that everybody watching this, if I were to name names, and I even have said names. Waka Flocka gave me a fucking whole NFT call at one point.
Dude, Adam, you gotta buy slutty powder puff girls, dude.
Exactly.
This is the fucking best.
Waka Flocka told me, Adam, you ain't, and he doesn't even know my name. He just calls me Jump, which is pretty funny. As somebody who I've like interviewed him before and stuff, but he like, for some reason, Adam doesn't seem to really like stick to the inside of his brain. It's just he calls me Jump.
And nothing about you screams that you can jump high.
No, not at all. But he knows no jumper, so I guess at some point he just
I get it.
He cut out the NO, he cut out the ER. He's like, okay, this guy's name's Jump. I don't know.
That's a good thing he cut out.
I'm
the
looking
ER.
at the logo right now, and if you cut out those two, it's pretty much just like a basketball with the word Jump in the middle of it. But anyway, so yeah, he told me, he's like, you ain't even gonna have to do your little interviews anymore. You just gonna promote NFTs. And I'm on the phone like, like, okay, like what the fuck? I don't know why it even happened. His buddy tried to get us to make a no jumper Ethereum address, right?
Oh my god!
We got hung up on that, and then we never did anything else with it.
I mean, you would have made a lot of money.
Josh is sighing very audibly.
You would have made a lot of money.
We can get that story later, but
did you see the story that was pretty crazy to me was the David Dobrik one? You see that?
What, the spray painted rapist on the side of his building? You didn't see that?
What? No.
He opened a burger spot in Hollywood, and then like somebody went there and spray painted the word rapist all big on it, and then there was footage of the vlog squad cleaning it up with a big curtain over it so that nobody could take pictures while they were cleaning it.
They couldn't have hired some people to clean that up? Wouldn't that be a lot easier than fetching a 15-foot high curtain?
I don't know if it, but they didn't want people to be taking pictures of it while it was.
Hey, Toddy Smith, Karina, go clean this. Can you get the R?
Because what are you gonna do? Like,
Jonah, get the T. Get the T.
No, just get big cans of black paint, just splash it over it right away. That's gonna give you the quickest coverage.
Hey, what's up, guys? Just want to tell you right now, we're cleaning up the word rape for my burger shop. Because I didn't do it. It was actually this guy, Dom.
It's so stupid, though, yeah, because who the fuck did David Dobrik rape?
Nobody.
The accusation is that he basically like allowed some drunk girls to hang out with his fucking friends.
And the accusation...
It's kind of a stretch to say that he was the rapist.
And also, I didn't read the story too closely, but it sounds pretty ambiguous whether or not there was actually a rape committed that night.
I don't buy it for a fucking second. Hell no, bro. Come on.
That guy, Dom, I will say this about Dom. He came on our podcast before, well, actually, it was probably after the incident in question.
Okay.
He was a complete gentleman on our podcast.
Dom's a nice guy.
I really liked him.
Yeah, Dom's all right.
And I respect the fuck out of David, too, despite the impression I just did. Cleaning up rape. What if he made that his thumbnail for a video? Cleaning a rape off the side of my burger.
Cleaning up rapists off the side of my burger spot. I bought the graffiti artist a Tesla. Anyway, so what was your David Dobrik news you're about to hit me with?
Oh, it's way less cool than yours. It's for the anticlimax. But basically, he promoted some whack-ass NFT collection called Bored Bunny.
A long time ago or recently?
Well, when NFTs were hot, so less than a year ago. And it was based off the popularity of Bored Ape, which is, I think it's the number 1 or number 2 NFT collection with CryptoPunks. But it was nothing. Just a bunch of guys had gone on Fiverr and had made like 500 iterations of a stupid bunny. And then David promoted it, and a bunch of his fans were like, "Oh, David, NFT, buy!"
Right.
And they spent, I think, like I don't know, $6 million was put into this project.
$6 million from just his fan base? What the fuck?
Don't quote me on that, but it was a lot of money. I think in the millions, and he got paid $100,000 straight up for it. I'm pretty sure. And then I don't exactly know how the quote unquote rug pull works, but I guess everybody behind the project just shut it down and moved to the Bahamas.
Because they all own like 50% of the fucking shares, and it's worth $2, and if they pull out, basically it's gonna be worth $1. So they pull out, cash out everything, and then they get all the value, and the people who are left holding the bag get like approximately zero. Which, if I have any regret, it's really not just that like I didn't do more NFT promotion in the early days when nobody really knew what it was, because those are the people who won. Soulja Boy made millions of dollars promoting NFTs. Even and nobody remembers. Because you can only focus on so many targets. You can pick on David Dobrik. He's super successful. He's got a clean image. They picked on Logan Paul and Jake Paul a bit, whatever. But
I love David.
They picked on, they pick on Lana Rhodes. They pick the biggest people. I know porn girls who were promoting fucking NFTs, making so much money early on. And I didn't do it because I was just like, this shit seems stupid. And like, I don't want to scam my fans. But the reality is that I just seen so many of these people skate clean away because like their fans didn't really give a fuck. Because probably their fans like didn't buy it. I feel like actually most of my fans are too smart for that.
It's tough to know, man. One of the rules, and I am by no means a very successful businessman, but I've heard it said by a lot of wise people that the best transactions are transactions where everybody wins. And I think most people who bought NFTs from Soulja Boy and company probably didn't actually get something as valuable as what they paid for it. I think it was a losing transaction on their part, and I think that you avoided it. Yes, you lost out on some short-term cash, but you're correct in saying that long-term it was a good play, not pissing off your
in the
fans.
long run. But you got to remember, like, how stupid this shit was in the beginning. Like, just for example, I remember at one time, Logan Paul had promoted a NFT called Dink Doink. And
I want to kill myself just hearing that name.
I'm watching an interview, and they're calling him out for it and trying to get him to admit that Dink Doink was a scam, right? And he's just kind of like, no, it's cool. It's like, it's crypto, but it's got cute cartoons. Why am I doing a stupid Canadian accent?
You made him sound Mexican or something.
I'm trying to sound like Logan Paul, but it's like he had the look in his eyes where it's like, yes, I did a scam. I get it. You know, and it's like, sorry. Like, you know, but he's like, no, it's cool cartoons.
Hey, fool, I boxed Floyd Mayweather. You know, I'm in the fucking WWE arms.
But anyway, like, you know, because in that early stage, so many people were still like, I think when I heard him have that conversation, I had just personally, like the weekend before that, gone through the process of like listening to a bunch of podcasts about NFTs and like did some Googling and was like, oh, okay, this is how it works, whatever. So people in general were still very confused about it. Yeah. I was just starting to get onto it. So it's like, there just wasn't enough people to be mad at him doing that. Whereas right now, even us, if this podcast was sponsored by some stupid NFT that was clearly a scam, like we're going to be getting called out left and right the second it comes out. Our own fans are going to be offended by us talking about it.
I feel like it. I feel like there are some audiences that they can do whatever they want. As long as your audience is younger and maybe more feminine, you like, I mean, fucking David Dobrik, who's the other? Bryce Hall. Those guys can promote whatever they want. But when our
Would
fans.
you say, I think 98% of NFT purchases have been made by men. The same way that 98% of prisoners are men. I'm pretty sure. Like, do you think women are really out here fucking learning how to use a MetaMask wallet? This shit is confusing as fuck. I still don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Ethereum first.
Dude, I'm just saying, it's very complicated. Me and Lena were sitting on the couch for like a fucking 6-hour span, like figuring out how to buy our fucking NFT when we first did it.
I think you gotta have some testosterone in your body
to do
which
something
will be
stupid.
sitting to fucking. Especially when it's, dude, there was a time when I was not fully, but I would say 5% of my brain was thinking about saving up for a CryptoPunk.
Really?
You know how stupid that would be?
I did it.
You got a CryptoPunk?
Yeah.
You still have one?
Yeah.
I'm not convinced those aren't going to be worth nothing soon. How much was it?
What was it? 70K each? It was like 150 or something. I did have the nerve to ask you why you treat us like we're rich, but yeah, it seemed like a good idea at the time.
I'm just a humble guy who drives $100 Ubers 2 blocks and buys $70,000 pictures of a guy with a beanie.
There was like a 9-month period where it seemed like a really, really smart investment too.
Well, the good news is I think you got it before the peak of the market.
That's true, yeah.
So right now, it's probably worth what you paid for
I think
it.
I think if we were to sell right now, we'd probably lose like 10, 20 each. Type shit.
Well, a lot of people hopped in when they were $500,000. I remember one dude bought one off FaZe Banks for $500,000.
My perspective, it has always been that if there's going to be any NFTs that are worth something that maintain their value, it's going to be the punks because they're the fucking the goats. They're the early on ones. So I'm really not scared to like. Listen, if I take a 100% L on it and NFTs turn out to be nothing, fine. If NFTs turn out to be anything, the CryptoPunks will be worth something, right?
Sure.
So I don't know.
Just be careful, people. I assume everybody knows what an NFT is. It's basically it's a piece of art that just functions on the blockchain.
I'm not doing a
token.
podcast for people who don't know what NFTs are. In fact, I will throw you into a burning building I will lock you in there if you don't know what an NFT is at this point in time.
Oh, I thought you were going to throw me.
No.
Oh, somebody else. Okay, I was going to have some sort of retort that might have gotten me fired right there. But yeah, NFTs. I wouldn't go beyond. That's like getting a fucking penny stock if you're gambling on NFTs. Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum. Other than that, don't get too deep down the crypto rabbit hole as far as putting real money in.
Way down right now.
But Bitcoin, it's pretty agreed upon, is going to be there.
So okay, here's my question: do you think that your girlfriend and my girlfriend are going to end up doing OnlyFans together?
That wasn't as good of a transition as your one earlier into comedy. The
I was just
change,
so sick of talking about Bitcoin. I'm like, all right, I got to do a hard pivot here.
Scissoring.
Because I noticed that your girlfriend has an OnlyFans.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm kind of curious. Like, and also, can I see your dick on there?
Haven't you seen enough of my penis?
I'm just not like I even want to. I'm just wondering, like, can I?
7-deuce offsuit.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that phrase now. I've never played a game of poker in my fucking life.
The more you learn about poker, the more offensive that's going to be, too, because that's the worst hand.
You fucking piece of shit, dude. It is average. It's got to at least be like a fucking 7 and an 8.
Is it on the OnlyFans or not?
My cock?
Yeah.
No, we haven't gotten that far. She hasn't even showed her titties on there. She's just got like implied nudes. So to answer your question, I think we can, depending on how much they've drank and what we put in her drink, I think we can get my girlfriend and your girlfriend to do it, your fiance. So.
Would you, if they did a lesbian scene together, would you jerk off to it?
Yeah.
You would watch it? Yeah. What if they fuck Dread together?
No,
that was such a good feeling to get to do to you what people always try to do to me. Because the comments are always trying to be like, you're selfish. You need to let your girl fuck another dude.
Yeah, who are these people? I remember we were
people
talking
who want to
about,
see our relationship not work out for content.
Exactly. We were talking about it. And what worries me is when Mia brought that up, she asked you.
She asked you about Dread.
No, she asked you. She's like, do you ever let Lena get fucked by other guys? And I went, excuse me? Excuse me? I know this isn't the 1800s anymore, but I got some good old-fashioned masculine values.
Yeah.
And in my world, a man doesn't let his woman get plowed by a cock that's 8 inches thick in Dread's case. But of course, Adam, you're welcome to fuck in the ass as many porn stars as you
My
would
friend,
like.
we will be laughed out of the Manosphere convention if we do so.
We can't do it.
We got to hold on to our biddies.
It's different. I mean, you and I are the kind of guys that... I mean, we drink single malt scotch. We have expensive watches. We have big cocks. We walk into rooms with confidence.
We are stocked in fucking hockey jerseys.
We're minor league hockey players. I'm a sweeper for the Heat. But you and I mean, we get a little bit of license, If I want to grab my cocktail server's ass when I'm playing slots in Vegas, I can do that. Yeah. I'm a man. It doesn't mean I'm being unfaithful.
I don't know. I mean... I'm not personally trying to sexually harass the cocktail waitress, but generally speaking, I'm down. But yeah, I don't know. It's just it's like an interesting thing to ponder, right? What are some things that you think are super funny that your girl doesn't think are funny? Because when I was listening to Shane's podcast the other day, that popped into their conversation is like, or his host Matt, his co-host Matt was saying that he'll be laying there talking to his girlfriend, and he will like unleash the worst 8-second fart that he can, and his girlfriend will say, that's not funny. And he'll say like, yes, it is. I'm sorry, have you ever seen a fucking baby watch a fart? Like, it's clearly funny. Like, what gives you the fucking nerve? And I don't know who the hell his girlfriend is, but what gives you the nerve to tell me that farting isn't funny? Come on now. They also had a lot of good the Holocaust didn't happen jokes, which I thought it's not easy to do.
It's tough.
They were riffing on it. I was dying in the car.
Unscripted, the Holocaust didn't happen material?
No, obviously they did. They think it happened. But it's just like,
But if you're going to do some Holocaust denial material, you might want to sit down with a pad and paper and a coffee.
See, okay, orgasms are on this side of the pendulum, and then Holocaust denialism jokes are over here. In the sense that everybody can say something funny about orgasming, and if you can make a Holocaust joke and get away with it, then... Which is what Dave Chappelle does. You beat the game. You won.
Yes.
You're playing the game on the hardest difficulty level.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. It's stand-up is like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, or fucking maybe Modern Warfare is a better example. I don't think that farts are that funny. And it's weird because clearly I don't have any aversion to anal.
Beta male.
Is that how we're going to do this?
I mean, I'm just saying, bro. Like, what, you don't think farts are funny?
Dude, don't call me a beta. Remember, I'm the kind of guy who grabs an ass in Las Vegas. I'm a man.
But, okay, but so... In what way are farts not funny?
I have some sort of shame about that. Okay, whenever I take a shit in my house, I flush immediately when the shit hits the water, so no smell can emanate upwards. I got the fan on.
I did that this morning because my water was sitting over on the counter like this with the opening exposed, and I started to think about my poop like fumes getting into the water and drinking poop for the rest of the day.
It would be like eating your own ass, which would basically make you gay.
Yeah, I could taste it. Yeah,
I can see that's in there.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think that's reasonable. But I mean, you're laying in bed talking to your girl, you're not gonna fart.
I don't do it. I have a lot of shame. Maybe
Or
it's
is it that
because
you just don't fart? Because you only eat fucking little dainty salads and stuff. I don't think you eat enough protein powder.
Dude, I've been trying to go because that staph infection. I was worrying like, hey, maybe my skin's weak. Maybe I need to quit with the rice and quit with the hamburger buns. So I went almost all carnivore. I'm doing my best Dr. Jordan Peterson impression. I'm only eating meat. And it's turning my shit. It's very comparable to like a rabbit's now.
With pellets?
It's very odorless and just pellety and kind of small. I feel like my body is just absorbing like all of the steak, so there's hardly any shit to come out.
Listen, all I'm saying is I don't consider myself any better than a baby in any way. I consider myself to have basically the same IQ as a baby. And when my fucking kid sits on that little toilet and she shits and she goes, P.U. and she's laughing her ass off. Who am I to deny myself that enjoyment? How could I possibly look at her enjoyment of the fact that brown, stinky material comes out of her butthole? And who am I to think that that's not funny? That's funny.
It's a good argument for having a child to get back in touch with the most natural form of humor appreciation.
Yeah.
What a baby thinks is funny is objectively funny.
It's the only thing that's funny. I'm not interested in anything that a baby doesn't think is funny.
Do babies think Holocaust denial is funny?
If posed the right way to them, if you show them the right cartoons, yes.
The right cartoons.
No, but like The New Yorker, not funny. Too complicated. Don't get it. Don't get any of the references. I don't pay attention to world affairs. I don't pay attention to politics.
Well, good for you for even reading the new fucking New Yorker.
Well, what is that? I fucking got on a mailing list at some point, and they send me fucking emails every day telling me about their articles, and then I click it, and it says, oh, there's a paywall. So then I have to copy and paste the fucking URL and go over to Opera and repost it there and then read it because I don't want to pay the $8 a month or whatever.
You can get around paywalls by going to opera.com?
Sometimes.
Wow.
Well, it's not opera.com. It's just an anonymous browser app. You could also probably just go into incognito mode in Safari, I think.
And then once you do that, it's free, but there is Chinese spyware on your laptop for the rest of its lifespan.
I'm not on my laptop. I do everything on my phone.
Yeah, well, there's already Chinese spyware on your phone, Mr. TikTok. So I guess it doesn't matter to you.
That is a good point. Do you want to know how my new TikTok is doing?
No, but yes.
Okay, see, this is the thing. TikTok is a weird fucking lottery machine of an app. I told you this.
Yeah.
But not a lottery machine, but a
slot machine.
It's also kind of like a lottery. But I have a random TikTok that I made about me making breakfast that had 1.2 million views that is right now at like 2.2 million views. It's old and it just exploded. And just got like an extra million views over the weekend for no fucking reason.
I wish the kitchen you were in exploded.
It's such a fun app, isn't it?
No. It's responsible for everything we detest.
No, I think it should probably be banned too, yeah. I just don't like the idea of the Chinese having any kind of control over our culture or society. It seems like a bad idea.
Mm-hmm. Yet you're responsible for probably 2 million watch hours this week alone, you fuck.
I'm not gonna not use a social media platform just because I think that it's probably an agent of a communist government that is killing people in basically death camps all over their country. I don't care about that.
Slippery slope.
I'm making content for young children to watch on this fucking app. But you know what's the great thing about it is that once your fucking TikTok goes like weirdly viral like that, like it just starts getting shown to like tons of people who don't even know who you are, you get so much random interaction from just people that you would never have anything to do with. And they're saying things that like they're saying, you look like an asshole with all those tattoos. Things that my fans have already gotten out of their system years ago, if they do think that.
It's making you feel young again.
Yeah, it's people saying, eating bacon for breakfast is bad for you. The cholesterol you're going to get from those eggs is going to kill you. I'm like, this is amazing. Like, this is just, I would never see these comments anywhere else.
I don't think that's factually true.
No, I don't think so either. It's actually insane.
You're getting...
What the fuck else do you want me to eat for breakfast? A big bowl of leaves or some shit?
You're getting insulted by people. The same insult you got in 2014, and people are giving you factually incorrect diet advice. Sounds like a great reason to spend your time on the platform, buddy.
I'm having fun.
Yeah.
I'm having fun. I like it. Okay, let's see how it's doing. Because this is that's the thing. If you want to beat TikTok, this is the most important thing: is you have to not look at how your fucking videos are doing. 15,000. That seems pretty good.
15,000. What's that one? What's the new one?
The new one is basically a complete remake of the thing where I made breakfast, except that it's me making breakfast for me and my kid. So you get to see me make 5 eggs and give her 1. and I make 5 pieces of bacon and I give her 1.
Aren't you worried that the sickos on wherever are going to be seeing your daughter and thinking impure thoughts on TikTok?
I mean, about her eating a slab of bacon, it's kind of inevitable.
That makes it sound way better when you put it like that. Some dude in a cave in Bulgaria, like, oh yes, she put that stick of meat.
But this is one thing about having kids is that like at some point you just realize like, oh right, like there are creeps. Like they're looking at your kid. Like that's gonna happen. Now, obviously, you have to shield against that by like not having them naked on the internet and stuff like that. You becoming keenly aware of that as soon because you're taking pictures of your kid doing cute stuff around the house.
Yeah.
But then you're like, oh wait, like this is not I can't post this. I can't. You start really thinking about like how you want to present them.
Yeah.
But I mean. It's like, yeah, there are pedophiles out there.
Yeah.
Some of them are looking at kids like, were you going to hide your kid from the world?
Yeah.
You just got to hope that they hurry the fuck up and get older so that those pedophiles can sort of age out of their interest in them.
I saw the draft TikTok you almost sent out where you had your daughter on her my first pole dancing pole, and that was kind of fucked up.
But I took her to the drag convention.
Yeah, exactly. Aren't you so fucking glad though? Aren't you so glad that you're not a pedophile? Sometimes I walk into rooms, like I remember, what was it recently? I was walking around UCLA, just like go for a run there, and there was a children's swim meet.
Right.
And a bunch of 5th grade girls came out in Speedos, and I just went, you know what?
I'm so glad I'm not a pedophile.
I'm so
I
glad
think if you
I'm
think
not
that, you are a pedophile.
No, come on. I'm being honest about this.
Okay.
I was just like, I'm so glad I can look at that and not think anything other than, oh, athleticism, it's sports.
Right.
I'm glad that's all I have to think, because imagine like the attraction that you or I have or had historically to pussy. Imagine that being something you couldn't tell anybody about, and the only way to satisfy your urges is a Class C felony.
Well, yeah,
or fucking the dark web.
There's a very important conversation to be had that is kind of difficult to have because a lot of people choose to like just pick and choose little moments of the conversation. But it's like, what does society do about that? Do you chemically castrate people for this shit? Because it's like, if you made it more acceptable for people to admit that they have that thing, then it would be easier for society to like deal with it, because you don't find out that anyone has that thing until they get fucking arrested for it, right? But then it's also just so detestable that it's like, how could you ever expect, like, what is society going to do with these people?
Louis C.K. had one of the best SNL monologues ever on this. He had a joke that was, we need to make it more societally acceptable to be a pedophile, so that, because now a guy like abducts a 10-year-old boy and takes him up to the woods in his van and he fucks him, and then he's got post-nut clarity. He's like, oh God, I gotta kill this fucking kid because I just did the worst thing on the planet. Louis C.K.'s bit was like, we gotta make it like, oh, hey, Mrs. Wilson, yeah, I just molested Toby. I'm bringing him back to soccer practice. You have a great day now.
Oh my
so
God.
that way. But I think what we really need to do is, if you do anything molesty, I think it needs to be no questions asked, death penalty, cruel and unusual punishment.
Because it is kind of like, it's such a bad crime that it's like so bad for the innocents that it's almost like that, regardless of how you ended up like that, it's almost like, yeah, you should just kill him, right?
And I say we do it, we make it a public spectacle. I
and
know
if
this
you,
is
and if
against
you
the
could say that
Constitution.
there's like 100%, like they're going back to it, even if you throw them in jail for 10 years, then it becomes even more like, okay, like maybe we should just kill them all, right? But there's a lot of things like that in society.
You know what draw and quartering is?
Yeah. Well, no, I just have heard the expression a million times.
I say, Bossa Nova, listen up. This is a vocabulary word for you, buddy. You get 4 horses, and you tie the horses up to each of somebody's limbs. And then a guy with a whip goes, yeah! And the horses go, and run in 4 separate directions, and they rip all your limbs off.
Does it actually rip them off, or does it just like dislocate it and pull it out?
I imagine Josh is shaking his head over here. He's saying everything splits. I think it's sort of like the wishbone on Thanksgiving. I think somebody gets like an arm and a torso, and then one horse just runs away with only an arm.
Even if it doesn't detach, I'm just assuming that you're never going to have use of this again. Think
No,
about how fucking fast a horse runs.
What if we,
4
for
of them.
pedophiles, what if we do it with cheetahs for pedophiles?
That's an even better idea. I was thinking the other day, we went to the park, and it's a pretty cracking park. There's probably like 40 kids running around the park, and there's a shitload of parents too. And
5 pedophiles.
So you don't know what the ratio is, right? Because there's a shitload of parents, and everybody. There's a million eyes on every single kid, so it's not like anything could ever happen. But there's definitely like some dudes sitting on benches that I'm kind of like glancing out of the corner of my eye, thinking like, well, he looks weird. But I mean, it's like it's so much more likely that it's just a slightly weird looking single father than that it's a fucking pedophile who hangs out at the park. But you also know that that's a thing, is that the fucking police have to come and arrest weirdos for hanging out at the park sometimes. And I watched a fucking Soft White Underbelly interview with this dude who was like a Mexican gangbanger at one point, and he's just kind of talking about his hobbies and everything. And
hey, I like the remote control cars, fool. I like to make the dioramas and the ships in the bottle.
He hangs out, like wherever he was hanging out was near a school, and he would see dudes standing by the fucking gate of the school watching the kids on the playground. And this guy's fucking hobby, is he would just go and beat the dog shit out of these guys who are going up and looking into the fucking playground. And I'm listening to it and thinking, like, how many dudes are there? Like, I don't doubt that there are some dudes doing this, but then also, how do you tell the difference between a fucking dad who happens to be walking down the street and he just wants to stop and see how his kid's doing, as like almost anyone could imagine themselves doing, right? If your kid was at school, and a fucking weirdo. And
well, the weirdos will have their pants around their ankles.
Well, that's definitely, yeah. If they're giving off signs like that, then it's a simpler affair, I guess. Yeah,
that's much simpler for this guy. Yeah. For Sparky to go administer street justice.
Yeah,
but I like that. I like that, first of all. And you know what? If you really need to take a gander through the chain link fence at the 5th grade recess, you probably deserve your ass kicked, all right?
Well, what if you're a dad? I'm saying that, like, pedophiles and dads, in the sense of like wanting to be in public spaces looking at their kids, it's basically like indistinguishable, right? Until someone does something extreme, at which point obviously it's going to be pretty apparent.
If you're the dad, then you need to go to the office and you need to get one of those guest passes, and you need to go introduce yourself to the yard duty and watch the Foursquare game from one of the designated benches.
Well,
okay?
I was thinking that the other day because we were driving by this fucking private school that my kid might be going to. And it's like it's
just one of you guys. Private school, $70,000 NFTs.
Fuck. It's like a high school, and then there's like a preschool like behind it, like on the same sort of like campus, apparently, right?
Oh fuck.
And
like, it better be a private high school too.
Right, it is, yes.
Okay,
right.
Good.
So right out by the street is like the pool where all the fucking kids are going to swim and everything, right? And I'm seeing that the fence is like open. Like you could like be walking down the street and just look in. And so, I mean, this has got to be way more inviting than a playground, because people are in states of undress, essentially.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking that. I'm like, that probably says good things about the area that we're in right now, that they haven't felt that it was necessary to like basically block out the fucking fence so that nobody could see into the pool. That makes me feel at least like somehow that being a possibility makes me think it's not a problem, and that's probably a good thing.
You're so right. That's when I first moved down to LA as a guy who skates occasionally. One of the first things I did was I was peering through elementary school fences.
Yeah.
And he said, you know, it's funny you mentioned this guy with a bandana and Dickie shorts on came up and just beat the fucking dog shit out of me one day.
Are you fucking I thought I was kind of starting to space out, and then I heard that, and I'm like, wait, you got me.
I was trying to think, like, what do Mexican, they wear low-hanging Blink-182 style Dickie shorts, and they wear bandanas.
Right.
But I was looking around for a place to go, like, just work on my kickflips, flat ground. Elementary schools in my hometown are the spot.
Right.
And in my hometown, there's no crime. So you can just go no-slide the benches. You can try to ollie over one of the Foursquare or hopscotch squares. But you get to L.A., and apparently it's pedophile central and pedophile o'clock always.
Really?
Because, dude, everything around my old street, West Adams, was just fenced in like a prison.
Yeah, because, okay, so LA, for people who don't really understand it, and Southern California in general, when you talk about what kind of skateboarding and BMX and rollerblading and scooters, to a certain extent, for, you know, they all kind of ride similar stuff. But when you talk about LA versus like New York, when we talk about New York, it's like things New York is known for that doesn't really exist in other parts of the world for skating and shit, like cellar doors, or, you know, you'll see like a famous skate spot in Brooklyn that's just like a fucking 8-stair rail that has had like hundreds and hundreds of clips pulled on it, or some random little ledge, whatever. When people talk about California, they want to come to California and they want to ride these perfect schoolyards. There are schools, I can think of hundreds of them that I've been to that are just full of perfect buttery long waxed up ledges and perfect low handrails, and like
the picnic tables that look giant but are actually 2.5 feet off the ground.
And so if you grow up like wanting to be a skateboarder, then you probably at some point are fantasizing about going to LA and riding the schools.
Yeah.
And then you get to the schools, and it is true. It's like tons of schools are just amazing, but then also some percentage of schools are, the security is fucking on point to the point where it's like almost impossible to get in there. But then there's a lot of schools where like it's fine, you just have to hop a couple of fences to get into it. And so you do have this moment that's kind of awkward where me and Phil and fucking 5 other dudes are pulling up in a big white van and tossing our bikes over a huge fucking fence into an elementary school, and then climbing over the fence, and then realistically smoking weed and drinking alcohol and like sitting around in the, and obviously we would not go there unless there was nobody around, which is the case on a Saturday or a Sunday typically. But you are like keenly aware of the fact that like this is a little weird.
Yeah.
If the cops were to show up, this might be a little hard to understand. Now, luckily, like the cops do get it. They fucking live here, and they are not going to assume that you're on some weird shit. But there are moments where like we've been in a fucking school, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, boom, there's a soccer game. And it's like we feel like we've got the run of this place. We're posted up, fucking 5 cameras pointing at a handrail, and then all of a sudden the gate opens, and 18 cars come in, and all of a sudden there's a bunch of kids playing a soccer game,
and Phil's chasing after a kid out of breath, like, hey, come back here.
Phil's like, get over here.
I want to show you a magic trick.
And there's a moment there where you're like, oh, this is a weird hobby. And I remember even the first time that I was like 27, and I came to LA, and we're just out of college. Just posted up riding. And even at 27, I'm like very aware of the fact that like, oh yeah, I'm like 5-6 years older than everybody else here. Like I'm starting to feel like quite out of place in this environment. Whereas a couple of years ago, I would have felt like I fit in perfectly, aside from the fact that I got this fucking bike with me,
I still go film content, sometimes pranks at UCLA, like my alma mater, and now I'm 10 years out of college.
Yeah, but you still have the young look that you like make sense in that environment.
Maybe I think I'm a grad student.
Yeah, but you could definitely like I don't know how long it's going to take, but you could definitely start. Imagine Louis C.K. if that was his day to day, going to the colleges and talking shit to the woke kids.
He'd have to change it up.
Optically, at a certain point, it's going to be kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, I'm already moving away from that.
Yeah.
I've told you I hate filming in L.A., I'm pretty sure.
Right, yeah. That's why you're always off going on missions and
always going on fucking missions.
Can't go to the No Jumper live show because he's going to...
Oh, we should cut that out. Well, I guess, yeah, we should cut that out.
Okay, going to a redacted concert.
Is she on top of that? Okay, cool.
You got that? Yeah.
Cool.
Well, cut out him saying a redacted and everything, just like bleep the name of the concert.
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you not want people to know that?
We'll talk about it after. Yeah. So
big plans.
Yeah, we just went up to deep northern California to this place where it's considered like a neo-Nazi epicenter, and I thought it was bullshit. I thought the LA Times was just lying, spreading division and propaganda, and I go up there and I hear an old white man use the N-word twice in front of me, jollily. And
as soon as you get there, but not at a white supremacist hangout, just at like a gas station?
At a Black Bear diner.
Oh, wow, I love those fucking things.
Yeah, it was a Black Bear diner.
I haven't been to one in probably 10 years.
It was during, you're going to see it, it was during my interview with him. And then I also get called an N-word by some junkie on the street, too.
See, that can be expected almost anywhere.
That's a good point.
The derelicts will definitely bust that out from time to time. But that's interesting because when you watch the Gideon video where he went to the most racist town in America and he like couldn't find any racist people, and then he like went to the Klan leader's house, and he didn't even talk to the Klan leader, so he didn't really get to meet almost any racist people. But that was like, and I remember people getting on his ass because he like didn't make the town look racist enough.
It was interesting when the guy next to me, in this like place that's considered like it's going to break away and become a Confederate state, when the guy dropped 2 N-bombs, I was so fucking stunned that I was worried too afterwards. I was like, dude, should I have like just talked shit to that guy right there? He was also probably 78.
But were you in character at that moment, or were you?
I was sort of in character, but I was not. I mean, I was an over-exaggerated version of myself. Yeah. Which is sort of what I do in my YouTube videos. It's more heightened even than this.
But isn't the comedy version of that, like if somebody says something racist to you, like doing what you do, you're supposed to lean into it. You're supposed to say racist shit yourself to make them say more racist stuff, right? But the optics are kind of weird too because you know it's going to be viewed out of context, right?
Yeah. I just shut down and my eyes went out of focus and I thought, holy God. Because all day I wanted to believe that people mostly all over America are cool, are not racist, that that's just a product of people like Joe Biden trying to solicit more votes. Like, they're trying to send us back to Jim Crow. I thought that's what it mostly was. So I was that illusion was punctured right there in that Black Bear Diner booth. And it like hurt.
Did I ever tell you about how somebody tried to get me to join like a white power gang at one point?
Yeah, I saw the swastika tattooed on your bicep.
You want to hear it?
Yeah, tell me.
It happened at, I love that you mentioned Black Bear Diner because this actually happened at a Tommy's Hamburgers. But I go to a Tommy's Hamburgers in Long Beach on bikes, probably 10 p.m., right?
Any story where you do anything on a bike is fucking hilarious.
So it's like 8 of us on bikes, right? And I'm the big tattooed guy out of the group. Everybody else is like smaller white dudes or whatever. And there's like a dude with a bunch of tattoos, a white guy, and he's with 2 girls. And there's like a bar across the street that's like popping, like there's people going in and out, whatever, older people, but there's something going on across the street. So this guy's there, he's clearly at this bar, but he came over to get a fucking hamburger, and he's drunk, and he's got these 2 girls with him, and he comes over and starts talking to me and starts asking me where I'm from, because he can tell that I'm not from fucking California, and I tell him I'm from Boston area, whatever, and he starts asking me about a couple of bands, whatever, and I'm having this conversation with him. He tells me he's from Gardena, and then he sort of busts out, his first racist trope of the night. He starts talking about how Gardena was a lot nicer before all the or no, he's talking about Garden Grove, which is famous from some fucking Sublime lyrics.
We took this trip to Garden Grove,
and so he's basically telling me how Garden Grove was great before all the blacks and Mexicans moved in. So that was my first moment of being like, oh dear Lord, okay. And so I'm kind of like, yeah, all right, like whatever. I'm not really trying to argue with him. I'm just trying to shut him up and just eat my fucking burger. So
it'd probably be dangerous too.
I'm just
if you start a fight with this
I'm not trying to
crazy,
engage him, so I'm just kind of waving him off. Okay, Garden Grove, cool, whatever. Like, and so he kind of takes off. He's sitting with his girls again, whatever. He comes back to me and starts telling me about this oil rig that he works on and how he's got a great team of guys.
It never leaked until the blacks came aboard.
No, but he doesn't like. He is saying like, yeah, we got a lot of great guys that work on my crew. Mostly white guys, we even got a couple a black guy, Mexican guy, but they're hard workers, not like the rest of them.
So he had to go clean it up. He's I don't think that feller took it so well.
He tried to clean it up by saying that like these guys are the exception to the rule, but the rule is that they're all lazy. And so I'm like, again, he's trying to offer me a fucking $20 an hour job, and I'm like, bro, I got my own business. Like I'm not interested. Whatever.
Oh, he thought your aversion to it is like, well, I'm hearing you about this oil rig, but what about the blacks?
Right,
what about them on there?
Well, but he thinks like he's starting to catch on that I'm really not feeling it when he brings up the fucking racist shit. And so then whatever, he kind of like gives up. And then we all hop on our bikes and we're about to leave. And he comes up to me right as we're leaving. And I probably told this story fucking 10 times over the years, so I might be fucking up some details about this, but this is the gist of it.
Yeah.
And he comes up to me right at the end and he tells me his name and he hands me a business card and he says, hey man, for real, I've done some real ass shit in my life. I went in, I did my time, and yada yada. And he just hands me the business card. And he goes, you can look me up. And I'm like, okay, whatever, bro. And so I get home and I Google the guy right away. And I figure out that he was at a high school dance when he was in high school. And he basically, like, his crew of white dudes get in a big argument with a crew of Mexican dudes, and he goes back to his grandfather's house and gets his grandfather's shotgun, and they end up in a chase down the fucking highway or some shit, and this dude fucking blows one of the Mexican dudes' heads off with the shotgun, hops on a plane, goes to Hawaii, hides out for a couple days, then basically comes back, turns himself in, and does like fucking, it surprised me how little time it was. It was like fucking 15 years. It wasn't even like a full 20. I was like, how the fuck did this guy get that little time? And again, I might be fucking it up. It might have been like longer, but he wasn't like that old. He was like 40. So it was like, damn, you're like in your early 40s. You like did this, you got out, and now you're like fucking basically treating this fucking oil rig that you work on like your little white power gang, and you're coming up to me trying to recruit me.
Yeah, and tell you I've changed. I served my time, and Dude,
I couldn't believe it. And honestly, like that's the only time that anything like that has ever happened to me, where somebody was like kind of trying to recruit me for a little bit of a racist crew. I was just totally mind blown.
We better get going. You got to work on the oil rig soon.
Yeah, no, I mean, how fucking long have we been going?
Oh, I was joking. We've been going. This has been a long one.
I had a lot of shit to talk about, man. Do you know there's a girl that's coming on the Patreon next that I've already slept with? She was already on Plug Talk.
Is she cute? Yeah. Dude, listen to me. My daughter goes to a private school. Fuck, got NFTs. Fuck the cutest girl.
Trying to make sure nobody figures out I'm a porn star at the private school. Probably not going to be going to too many parent-teacher conferences.
Oh, and material. It'd be great to talk about.
I'll show up. I'm just going to wear a shiesty.
You're going to wear a shiesty?
A full facial mask.
Is that the shiesty like Tone wears?
There's a popular rapper named Pooh Shiesty, and he kind of popularized it. Now everybody does it, but
I don't know. Why is that good?
why is his name Pooh is probably the first question I would expect your white ass to ask me.
There are a lot of
P-O-O-H.
Well,
So
that's how you
it's
spell
more
Pooh,
of a Winnie the Pooh and less of a doo-doo.
Yeah, that's more funny to me because I don't like the shit humor. But yeah, Tone wanded me today, and
Really?
yeah, he wands me sometimes.
What the fuck? Does he like forget that he's already met you 10 times?
Is he's only supposed to wand strangers?
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't think AD's still getting wanded down, is he?
He probably just looks at me. He's like, man, this motherfucker might be a school shooter.
Well, he knows you're all right, so he figures you're worth a wand.
Yeah. You're going to come in here. It's like, I got a permit for it. Open carry. It's legal in this county.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm going to tell him to give Bossa Nova a full cavity search every single day as well.
We need to.
Yeah.
Hands and knees with a flashlight.
Even if he's the only one here.
Yeah. And if he wants to,
if Tone's not here, I want Bossa Nova to perform it on himself and send us the iPhone clip.
absolutely, Bossa Nova. You need to squat over a mirror because we don't want to see your asshole directly. It's like Medusa's eyes.
Yeah, I'm going to give you extremely detailed description of how to film it.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
for safety.
And at the end, there's going to be this weird part about sticking a hairbrush up there. That's just to make sure the cavity is clear. Okay?
Hey, and you're going to have to leave the hairbrush in a specific drawer so Danny can make sure it's fine.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Well, how am I going to have to make sure it's fine? With my tongue?
Yeah, just give it a sniff even.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Well, it's been Sledgelords, right?
It's been Sledgelords.
It's been Sledgelords.
It's been Sledgelords.
Solid episode.
Good episode.
Yeah.
Shout out to everybody. Hey, Friday, come to the Novo. Check out the No Jumper live show. Danny will not be there for redacted purposes, but yeah, hopefully, maybe we'll even do a live one of these one day.
Fuck yeah, that'd be great.
Maybe at the Hollywood Improv.
That'd be fantastic. It'd be better than the fucking bullshit we suffered through. We'll get Dom Irera on the couch and it'll be just as good.
Definitely, we could jerk them off together.
He's still got some jizz left.